Good morning, everybody. I wanted to just quickly remind you, if you love B2B SaaS and you're loving all these CEOs I have on, remember, you can get all of their data in a big, beautiful spreadsheet at getlatka.com. That's GETLATKA.com. So I hope you're enjoying the month. I love December. I love the holidays. And here is our program for today. This is the Top Entrepreneurs Podcast, where founders share how they started their companies and got filthy rich or crash and burn. Each episode features revenue numbers, customer counts, and other insider information that creates business news headlines.
We went from a couple of $100,000 to $2.7 million.
I had no money when I started the company.
It was $160 million, which is the size of many IPOs.
We're bootstrapped.
We have like 22,000 customers.
With over 5 million downloads in a very short amount of time, major outlets like Inc. are calling us the fastest growing business show on iTunes. I'm your host, Nathan Latka, and here's today's episode. Hello, everyone. My guest today is Jeff McQueen. He is an Aussie that now finds himself in San Francisco due to his company called Excello, which he launched about, almost 9 years ago. We're going to jump into the full story today. Jeff, are you ready to take us to the top?
Yeah, let's go.
Good. All right. So tell us what Excello does and what's your business model? How do you make money?
Yeah, no, great question. So Excello is a platform for running the operations of a service business or team. So imagine you're an architect, accountant, designer, engineer, consultant, somebody who runs that kind of a service business for other customers. And you've got the fundamental problem that you keep having to do more. Technology speeds up the way the business runs, but you're actually often having to use technology that's really out of date, like spreadsheets and a litany of things that don't talk to each other. And so what Excello does is we use the cloud and smart automation to actually make it a lot easier to run that operation, to know fundamentally what happened today, so you've got a hope of knowing what's happening in the future. And we started it together about 6 years ago. We got it out into beta, and I moved here to the Bay Area while we're still
Who's
in
we?
Myself and 3 co-founders. We all worked together in my last business. We were colleagues running a professional service business. We knew how much it sucked.
Like an agency or something?
Yeah, just like that, man. Just agency business. Customers from smaller businesses up to Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet back down under. And frankly, we're just realizing how it was hard to run a business without the right tools. And you could get individual tools that did part of the job, but actually running the business, none of us could tell you without going on a law and order investigation what the hell happened today.
Give me a specific example though. So like at an agency, they have an issue with this because if they're billing per human hour, it's hard to necessarily do the tracking. Are those the kinds of problems you're solving? Yeah,
it's actually probably a meta level above that. So what's in the pipeline? Then what projects does that convert into? And how do you make sure the promises that got made up front in your sales process actually reflect what the heck you're promising you're going to do in a team perspective? How busy are people? You look into an agency and look over in the corner and go, oh, there's Tom. What did Tom do today? You got no idea. And while there's timesheets out there that are kind of pretty painful, no one likes them. It's hard work to keep up to date. Most of the fundamentals of the technology have been assuming that you can take smart, creative, emotional, inconsistent, special human beings, which you all are, and turn them into robots and machines, and therefore magic would happen. And so whether it be timesheets or project delivery or billing or utilization, all of this stuff is just so fuzzy and variable, and it really is. We're not changing the fact that it's variable and nothing goes according to plan. What we actually do is we've got smart technology that uses a lot of automation and adapts to the reality so that you can run that business with confidence.
So give me an example. Well, before you give me a customer example, how do you make money? Is this a SaaS product?
Yeah, SaaS product, per seat per month. We charge about $2 per person per day. And generally, if a professional service business is charging their people out at $150 an hour, we make money back for them in less than a minute. The math's really compelling.
What are you, instead of doing per seat per hour, just tell me what's the average customer paying you per month, would you say, the average business?
Yeah, the average business, it varies depending on size, of course. But the average customer, the average seat is spending about $60, $70 per seat per month.
Okay,
so 60 or 70.
Got it. And when you say variability, that means, sometimes people are buying 5 seats or 500.
Partly that, but also you can buy pieces of what we do. So let's say projects is the thing that you're really obsessed about and it's driving you crazy right now, but you don't have a retainers part or a service, like a reactive service part of your business. You can buy just the projects piece. And pricing for that starts at $19 per seat per month. So, it basically varies depending on what you want. But most of our customers are buying our ServeOps product, which is this new category of technology we've created, which really is a harmonization and bringing together of what you need to do when you're managing pre-sales and quoting, when you're managing your project delivery, when you're managing your time billing, and also critically when you manage your utilization and your scheduling, so you can actually see what the hell people are working on.
Mm-hmm. Now, what or how many seats on average is a company paying for when they sign up for you?
Yeah, on average, we've got 8 people are the size of the companies that use our product. So we've got everywhere from one-man bands up to literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people across multiple continents. The product itself scales really beautifully. So
you have 2 levers you just kind of shared with me in terms of driving expansion revenue. One is growing the amount of teams using you, so number of seats. The other is you have actual product layers you can put on top. Are there any other utility-based metrics you drive expansion revenue around?
Not at this time. There's certainly a lot of things that we could pull levers on in the future, but they're not really, they're more of a thought bubble at the moment, which has had some preliminary work. What we've realized is that, there's just such a massive opportunity. The sector we sell to, professional services, so again, those architect, accountant, engineer, designer, consultant type folks, in the US alone, it's more than 20 million people working in that industry. It's the largest employer in the private sector in the US by far, bigger than healthcare, bigger than education. It's 1 in 6 people. And these poor folks, like the average company size is less than 10. Only, less than 1% of the businesses have more than 500 employees. And so what it means is that the big guys like SAP and Oracle, who kind of came to power by automating and streamlining and trying to give systems to run operations for the big end of town, they've just ignored this massive, massive, massive market. And what we're doing is we're bringing, basically cloud, both from an infrastructure and an economics point of view, to bear, so that anyone can afford to and benefit from it.
Yeah, Jeff, no, I get it. So what, have you bootstrapped this, or have you decided to raise capital?
We've raised $2 million. We did that in the middle of 2015. And we actually, as we record this, just about to announce a $9 million raise. So that's what's interesting.
11 all in?
11 all in. And what's interesting about the 9 is we raised that in the same quarter we got to profitability. And we've really been, while that's 11 all in, for most of the time, it's, been off just that, a little bit of angel money and then a seed round. So we've followed probably more of the DNA and execution model of a bootstrapper rather than the Silicon Valley funded behemoth.
And what's your team size today? How many full-time people?
Right now we're at 60 people. About
16 or 60?
60. About a third of those are in, half of those are in Australia. And that's where we do our product engineering, design, operations. And then we've got the other half here in San Francisco, where we do marketing, sales, and client success. Yeah,
you're in 2. I was just in Sydney. I mean, you are in 2 cities in the world where housing is ridiculously expensive.
That's true. That's true. We've got a little bit of an advantage that the Australian team is not far outside of Sydney, but still outside. So,
got it.
For Americans, we're in a college town. And so for Americans, I describe it as like Ann Arbor by the sea.
Yeah.
So imagine a top tier college town that just happens to be on, beautiful beaches with a cost of living that allows people to be able to walk to the office and that sort of thing.
So you founded 5 years ago. You've got $11 million in funding, 60 people across 2 major cities. What are you at now in terms of customers you're serving?
We don't disclose exact customer numbers, but we're in the thousands.
Okay. So we can generally say between 1,000 and 10,000. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's a fair.
Okay, good. Above 1,000, but below 10,000. That's good stuff. And then take me back, obviously in a SaaS company, one of the things we like to focus on the show are kind of how CEOs are thinking about economics and what levers you're pulling, right? So in a SaaS company, obviously churn is the first thing you have to get under control and make sure you have a sticky product. What are you guys at right now in terms of annual logo churn?
We have negative net churn on a revenue basis.
How negative? I mean, we're talking negative like 105, 110, 110.
If we didn't sell another dime of new MRR today, in 12 months from now, we'd be another, sort of 10% bigger than we are.
Got it. So you've got, we can say then, another way to say is you can pretty predictably forecast 10% expansion revenue across your current customer base, no matter what you do in the next 12 months.
Exactly. And what's interesting as well is looking back through some of the cohorts, we've seen 20, 30, 40% expansion over the first 12 months. And that's almost all organic. Our team right now is frankly focused very much more on client success through implementation, training, support services than it is around renewals, upsell, or any of those classic levers.
Yeah.
So we're not doing anything. In fact, we're almost being like negligent about trying to drive those numbers even higher.
Put it all together though for me. So you have 20 to 30% expansion in year one contract value, but take out your churned revenue and then add in new customer revenue. What is your net negative revenue churn?
It ends up being about 10% a year.
Got it. I mean, that's pretty damn healthy.
Yeah. And I mean, that's like a super aggregated group. What's interesting is, as a bootstrapper, and you probably appreciate this from your own experiences and talking to folks, the product that you had when you sold someone on it 2 years ago was a much more inferior product than you have today. And so yeah, certainly it's good and trending in the right direction.
And then give me the logo churn annually or the logo retention annually. What's it above?
I don't have that number off the top of my head, but it's not huge. We break our customers, and that's an interesting insight in terms of levers. We break our customers into two categories. There's the self-service category, and then there's the qualified or sold to category. And I think that's actually really good advice for other SaaS founders to do as well, particularly if you've got a model that does have the online trial self-service model, is really break your segments up. We've only got the 2 segments, but in the future we'll have a bunch more. Really break your segments up and think about issues like CAC, churn rates, all that sort of stuff based on different personas. I highly recommend that.
So if we just look at your no-touch persona, what are you spending on CAC on those folks?
We got a customer payback of about 8 months at the moment.
Okay, got it. And I mean, earlier you said the average customer is paying, you call it, for 8 seats or about $3,840 would be 8 months worth of revenue. So you're spending about $3-4 to acquire those customers.
Yeah, thereabouts.
Yeah.
Yep.
And where are you spending that money typically?
We're spending it in a few different ways. When we actually value or look at our CAC, we don't just put it into what we spend on paid acquisition. We're actually layering in not only all of the sales salaries and the marketing salaries, but also 50% of our success team overhead. And a few
just to be
things.
clear, this is your no-touch cohort, right? So your 3,800, there shouldn't be salespeople on that, right?
Oh, sorry, to clarify. Well, in terms of the 8 months payback, we've got a similar number for the no-touch as well as the ones that we have AEs involved with.
Got it. So that 3,800 is fully weighted. You're taking all your sales, all your marketing, plus any paid spend on Google Ads, dividing by new customers that month, and boom, 3,800 is the number.
Thereabouts, yeah.
Interesting. What percentage of the 60 people or how many of them are in either marketing or sales?
So we've got, I think, 12 people in marketing and sales combined. Maybe it's 13.
Okay, got it. And then, so $3,800 CAC, 8 month kind of payback period. This is obviously very, how do I say this? It's less math and more art. It's more CEO driven. What do you assume lifetime value is on one of your customers?
It's ridiculous. I'm trying to remember the numbers. It's if it's 1 over churn, the numbers. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but it's like 5-6 years. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's hard. The number's hard.
Kind of product that, we're the system of record for their work. So if you think about it, you've got like a system of record in HubSpot for what you do in marketing, and then you've got often a system of record for sales, like CRM type stuff. We're the system of record for operations. So we're like totally the backbone of the business. We don't have much downtime, but I'll tell you what, even if we have a couple of minutes, the phones ring off the hook immediately. As I don't know if I mentioned it, but we have like 80% of our monthly active users are also daily active users. And of those, people who are daily active users,
what is that number? What's your daily active user number?
We don't disclose the actual number because effectively that's like, hey, here's all our customer count. But the percentage is 80% of our monthly active users are also daily active users. And those people spend on average an hour a day using the product in terms of session length and engagement.
Yeah. I mean, look, to put just a minimum on this, because I want to give you credit, right? I mean, you said between 1,000 customers and 10,000 customers. So if you have 1,000 customers and you said an average company has 8 seats, that's $480 a month at least, right? We're talking minimums here. 480 times $1,000, you're making at least $480,000 per month, potentially as much as 4.8 million per month if you're up closer to the 10,000 number. I mean, that's a fair range, right? Yeah. Interesting. What are you, so something interesting. I mean, this kind of reminds me of like a Basecamp, but it sounds like you do a bit more than what Basecamp does. You're less generic. What is like the one thing you've got to get a new company who signs up to do in the first 7 days that will really directly correlate to their stickiness?
Yeah, there's a few different vectors. Generally, it comes down to connecting the systems they're already using. So what Excello does that's really special is we'll actually automatically synchronize with their email, their calendar, their address book, their accounting system. So Xero, QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Desktop, their marketing automation, HubSpot, for example. So we'll actually sit in the middle as a bus. And what's great about the way that we've approached it, and I sort of got to this at the top of our conversation, where we're about recognizing that the businesses that we help have smart, creative people who the last thing they want to be doing is filling in 20 spreadsheets, right? No one got into the business of being an architect to sit there and update Excel or to fill in a reporting system to make a CFO happy.
That's right.
So we've actually, where we've had so much success that guys who've tried to solve this problem, because this isn't a new problem, guys who've tried to solve the problem before and failed have largely been because they expect sort of the mountain to come to them instead of them going to the mountain. And so what we do is we let our users and encourage them to connect to the systems they're already using. And then we become this intelligent, automated machine that sits in the middle. And then they just have to give it a little bit of an update here, an update there after the fact. So for example, we'll automatically fill in somebody's timesheet. And that comes from doing those sorts of connections. So yeah, it's like sign up. All right, connect your Google account, connect your Office 365 account, connect your Exchange account, whichever one of those it is. You do that. That's key. And it goes from there.
Why did you decide to do the current, you said you're profitable. Why did you decide to do the current $9 million round of funding?
It's really to accelerate the process. We've got, thousands of customers, but there are millions of businesses that have this problem. And that's just using the count of the industry size in the US. It's not even including, the rest of the professional services, which is dominant in the Western world. Like, coming out of the Great Recession here in the States, 28% of all new jobs are created in the sector that we serve. It's crazy. And these poor folks are just, driving like they're driving down a winding mountain road with the windscreen blacked out, using a rear view mirror of their accounting system to tell them whether or not they made money last month and wondering what they just ran into. Was it a guardrail or if they gone off the edge of a cliff? So we want to solve that problem for those poor guys.
CRMs might be the tool that I fight with the most. I just haven't found one that I really liked. I don't know if you guys are the same way, but they're just so tricky. And a while ago, I had a guy named John Lee on my show. He's the CEO of ProsperWorks, and he told me they just passed 40,000 customers and $24 million in annual revenue. So they're doing about $286,000 in revenue per employee. And I said, wow, why is this working? And I said, you know what? I'm going to try it. So I went to prosperworks.com/loveyourCRM, signed up, and it immediately became clear why it worked. Those of you that love growth hacking, you should go to that link just to see how they do the onboarding. That's prosperworks.com/loveyourCRM. In short, it's like magic. I'm not the guy that finishes the sales call and then takes the time to actually put data into the CRM. They have this magical way of just doing it, and it's a beautiful thing. So every morning when I wake up, I just go, okay, what leads are ProsperWorks telling me to reach out to because they're most likely to close? And it works so well. And you guys know I love money, and I love only focusing on the leads that are going to close. So I encourage you to try ProsperWorks. They're sponsoring the show. Check them out at prosperworks.com/loveyourCRM. Folks, that's again, prosperworks.com/loveyourCRM. So fast forward to the end of the year, you, Tara, your whole team of 60, you're cheering and toasting because you hit the magic number. What's a goal that would in terms of ARR that would just get you pumped? Is it 20 million, 10 million, 100 million? What would get you excited?
Honestly, it's not an ARR number. It's getting the machine right. So I didn't.
But kind of quantify that for us. Come on, it's hard to tell a goal that's that generic. Usually, tie an amount to it.
For us, it's about growth rates. And it's about growth rates at the front of the funnel and growth rates at the bottom of the funnel. It's not about the end number. It's about the machine. So quantifying that, we want to get our, inbound leads up to 15% month-on-month growth. And they're not far from that now. So the marketing team's doing well. Obviously, then getting the machine in place and having the machine scale, we're only 5 AEs, couple of SEs, right? So it's still a small team in that scale. So ramping that up.
Same number on the bottom?
What's that?
Same 15% number on the bottom? What do you mean by ramping up? What do you mean by ramping up the bottom of the funnel?
Yeah, the intent is to make the funnel look more like a tube. We've got a product that solves a really, really, really clear problem for people. And so it's really about, getting out of our own way and helping them both through, making the product easy to use. It's a big promise. It's a big product, so it's not easy to do. So there's a lot of improvements we need to make there. So we want to drive the top of the funnel, but we also want to make the bottom of the funnel drive at the same rate. By improving a whole bunch of making it less of a funnel and more of a pipe.
Driving what at the bottom though? Are you talking like just new logos or new revenue or what?
Oh, I mean, for us, it's really about the bottom is MRR, and yeah, we basically just want to, we can improve what we do from a sales perspective. We can improve what we do from an implementations perspective. Like, we're not standing still.
So when you use the analogy of going from a funnel to a tube's top has a smaller opening than a funnel. I believe I'm understanding your analogy correctly. So, but you said you want to grow it by 15%. So I'm confused.
Sorry, to clarify, it's still going to be a funnel. Not everyone who signs up to try the product's handing over their credit card the same day. So I'm being facetious. It will still be a funnel. The difference is that we want to make it less of a funnel that has a really wide top and a really narrow bottom, and where we put a bunch of leads in the top and then only some of them convert at a small ratio. We actually want to increase our conversion rates. And so that's really the drive on this.
Yeah. So, but by saying, I just want to make sure I understand you clearly here, because I don't want to misrepresent you. So when you say you want to expand the top by 15%, you want to make the opening of the top bigger, but you also want to increase conversion rates throughout the funnel so that the whole thing expands.
That's right.
Yeah. Got it. No, that makes
sense. And I don't know where the top end of that list is, but we're not really benchmarking ourselves off anyone else, because what we're doing is sufficiently contrarian and different. Like, nobody, when we were early fundraising, everyone's like, you guys are crazy, we're not backing this. So what we're doing is definitely contrarian. And we just keep optimizing and iterating and improving what we're doing.
Last question here before we wrap up with the famous five. What's a weird thing you've done to acquire customers? Something not normal.
Honestly, nothing comes to mind, because I think my sense of normal is kind of warped.
Okay, give me something that's not inbound, paid spend, free acquisition, word of mouth.
Yeah, I mean, integrations is a pretty common one, and we've done a lot of that work. My poor engineering team, like, one of the downsides of having a co-founder, an engineer who's CEO, and even though I'm supposed to be focusing on marketing, sales, and success, I still, to much their chagrin, commit code. But yeah, I mean, basically one afternoon, we were doing an integration, or we had a bunch of inbound leads that were clearly an opportunity, and it was a strategic thing, as opposed to being something that would tactically move the needle that quarter. And so I just built the integration as a POC on a Friday afternoon. One of the funny things about building a startup on the West Coast of the US is Friday afternoons are really quiet. East Coast is gone to the pub. England's they're already drunk, and the Australians are recovering from a hangover. And so you've basically got this you're at the tail end of the week and for the entire world, and it's kind of peaceful. So one Friday afternoon.
How many integrations do you have currently?
Oh God, it's got to be like 20. There's a lot.
And do you once you spend the time to integrate with partners, do the partners then market for you, or like, how does that drive you new customers?
It's all about co-marketing. No one's going to kind of get out of bed for you. You've got to put the hustle in and the effort. And we're a startup that's still emerging, right? So we turn around to someone like, our great friends over at HubSpot, and we say to them, hey, you guys got 20,000 customers, or 30,000, or whatever their latest number is. I haven't checked it. And we say, we want to do something together. And they're like, all right, cool. But, you've got to do the work there, right? And that works out pretty well. But yeah, that Friday afternoon, I just basically built an integration. We're still using it today, for goodness sake. So yeah, that's an example of something that's a bit unnatural.
That's good. No, I like that. Have you guys broke the $10 million ARR mark yet?
On our way.
On your way. So close. Do you think you'll hit it this year?
I don't know.
Come on, you're smiling. You'll get there. You'll get there. All right, let's wrap.
All about the machine, mate.
Let's wrap up. I hear you, man.
We've got a market as big as ours. I'm not getting bent out of shape about whether or not we hit milestone A or B and when we hit it. We've got such a massive market. We just need to make sure that our machine is the best in the world, and our economics continue to be tremendous gross margins with really great customer acquisition.
What is tremendous gross margin? Like, are you above 85, 90%?
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's wrap up with the famous five. These are just easy one-word answers. Number one, what's your favorite business book?
Shit. And I knew you were going to ask this, and I've been trying to think about it. The one that I really liked reading recently is called Play Bigger. It's by three fellas who are out of the Bay Area who've been through the machine and got chewed up and spat out a bunch of times. I heard it first reviewed as being, if you like, the appropriate sequel in a sense of startup wisdom to Eric Ries's Lean Startup, which itself was a sequel to the 4 Steps to the Epiphany. Both of which I thought were tremendous and definitely on my favorites list. And I think Play Bigger has been able to sort of take that same torch and carry it forward really effectively. So anyone who's watching this is entrepreneurial, get into it.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying right now?
Not particularly. Instead of choosing a particular CEO, I tend to work really broadly with communities of CEOs.
Name your favorite.
I mean, it's hard to go past Elon Musk in terms of taillights to chase.
No. Name your favorite community of CEOs.
Oh, there's actually a couple. So here in the Bay Area, there's, I don't even know what they call a mailing list, but it's basically this private mailing list that is a bunch of CEOs. And they've also got people who had sales and people who had success of advice. And like I said, I don't even know what it's called. It's just this thing that someone tapped and said,
all right,
hey,
so we'll say no for your favorite CEO. You've got a lot of different people feeding your ecosystem.
Too much, man. Too
all
much.
right, number 3, besides your own, what's your favorite online tool?
I love Zoom. I think Zoom's my favorite. Particularly recording this on Skype is reminding me how much I love Zoom.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
About 5 to 7.
Okay, good. So we'll say average 6 there. And what's your situation? Married, single? Do you have kids?
Married, kid on the way.
Oh, congratulations. That's exciting.
Thank you.
And how old are you, Jeff?
What am I now? 38 now.
All right, last question. Take us back 18 years. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
I actually ironically feel like the best thing my 20-year-old self could do is remain ignorant. I think that's part of the reason why starting startups and starting your first company is something that is often correlated with people being young, because what you don't know will actually help you to move outside of pattern recognition, as well as do stupid things that, every amazing successful company started as something that a lot of people thought was stupid, us included. So, I would encourage the embracing of the impetuousness and the ability to live responsibility free and just hit it.
There you guys have it from Jeff. Be a little bit more ignorant and just hit it. Founded his company Excello back in 2011 with his buds. They're now 60 people between Australia and the States. Again, helping professional services companies really manage their product, manage their business, manage expenses, get insights into the company and what they're doing. Serving well over 1,000 paying customers. Those are companies with an average of 8 people per company or seats using them. Well over $480,000 per month in monthly recurring revenue. Super healthy revenue expansion per account at 20 to 30% in year 1, negative net revenue churn of, negative 10% ish, super healthy CAC to LTV ratio. Again, growing fast, $11 million raised. Jeff, thank you for taking us to the top.
Cheers. Thanks very much.